My bad. Hello. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome to Uncomfortable In-House Conversations with HB. I know it's been a while, um, and I apologize for that, but you know how it is. You know, life is life, like on the normal scale of things for most of us. Real quickly, I want to give a personal shout out to the Davis family. You know, Tasha Davis and you know the rest of the family. I know they're going through it right now with this situation with her nephew and also with the mother side. They're trying to get justice and find out what happened. Um, Again, I know them personally. You know, grew up together, a lot of hill. So I hope they get justice and I hope everything pans out. Such an unfortunate situation. But back to me. It's been a minute. Again, I apologize. Like I said, I've been out. I went against my cardinal sin. That I forgot the whole purpose of me being or doing the podcast in the first place. The whole purpose of me doing it when I first started with the podcast was for my own mental health, and it just escalated and took it to places where I could never imagine. And for that, I appreciate it. I thank God. I thank people that supported me. My wife, and just my friends. Has spinoff. One of my best friends. We're getting back to that too. But again, I just think that it's important, imperative to get back to where my grassroots were, and that's having these uncomfortable conversations because as I'm looking and going back, I see it's needed, especially in current events. I look at it like every day we have enough foolishness going on, in the world every day. So I decided that, I wanted to bring up some things and some topics that just have adult conversation, you know what I'm saying? And 35 up, you know what I'm saying? Just real live conversations I wanted to have. So that's where we at. Um Today I wanted to start my platform off. I wanted to ease myself back in. And I was trying to think of a topic, or most of the time I have guests. Um, and this time I say, you know what? No, we're gonna start from the grassroots, how you started. And when I first started, I didn't even have the video. You understand what I'm saying? It was just me just speaking. So what I decided to do, I thought back. I wanted to go back to some episodes that I had for me that was most influential. Um, and I want to listen to some excerpts from it. And then I want to, take you, as you can see, my thought process and having that conversation then and what I think about how things are now concerning that particular show and the person that I was talking to. So just, bear with me. I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed every episode. I enjoyed every person that was kind enough to come on and hopefully moving forward they come on my show and we have these conversations because it's needed. So without further ado, I'm gonna share with one of my episodes. Uh, I didn't do it in order, so you're just gonna see and you're gonna listen, and then we're gonna go from there. I'm gonna give my thought process on it, where I am now, and how I felt about it then. So here we go. Yeah. I mean, fortunately for you, DNA said you was. But anyway, so the premise of this here, I just want to be able to just have a regular adult conversation. I want to know, at the end of the day, we as parents, we think we do, we do great, or we perceive ourselves to be in a certain way. So just unscripted, I want to let's say this. Let's go back. Let me ask you this. Growing up, what is a couple of fond memories you had growing up with me?
I could definitely say playing basketball was a pretty fond memory. What else? Actually, we had a recent one that was pretty cool when I was um a girl had made me pretty mad. We had went to the bar. We went to go get some drinks and stuff. That was a pretty cool moment.
Okay, okay, cool. So, okay, so to wind you in that was the episode with the uncomfortable conversation between me and my son. The purpose and the premise of that was I wanted to jump off in the gate of really being uncomfortable. Like I said, and what more uncomfortability that you have between you and your child. And as you saw, it was unscripted. Um, I just wanted just things that I wanted to ask, but maybe a little bit I was scared to, or just or things he wanted to ask, or answer questions. But at the end of the day, we really don't know what our kids' thought process is unless we give a unedited version and allow him the space to be able to speak. The great thing about it was, and still is for me, um, I'll say this because I hate the stereotype that most black men are deadbeats. Um, I've been, purposely, in my son's life from the moment he was out, we had the same birthday and everything. And just going through the maturation process of him, even to this day, he's a young adult. And we still have conversations. I talk, I laugh, but just going back now, I'm thinking because I have two more parts that you're gonna listen to, where I wanted to know what his thought process was. Like growing up, what did he think? How did he feel? You don't really know until you get into these situations. So here's the next one. Okay, okay, cool. So, how about let's say this? Okay, so what's the perception that you have growing up? Because it's safe to say, a lot of people, they grow up and I'm trying to change the stereotype, but coming up, I grew up in a two-parent household. Your mother at the time too, she grew up in a two-parent household. That means mom, dad in the same household. We both had that background together. Unfortunately, we grow up in life, and things don't happen the way we plan. Excuse me, and things change. But what I can say consistently, we both made sure that we wanted to give you wanted to kind of give you that feel. So, how, from your point of view, how do you feel in your perception of having both parents in your life, but just not in the same household? Like, what were the goods and what were the bads?
The good thing was maybe like being able to go to two different households when like you got mad at another parent or just annoyed at one house or you wanted like a different set of rules. What was the bad parts? Maybe like disagreements. Maybe one weekend one parent may not agree with another weekend, so you have to go through that. You may have to choose. That probably been the most annoying part.
Okay, okay, that's fair enough. That's one of the premise that I that's why I preface my statement when I'm always talking to you now. I'm always preaching like no kids, because for the most part, when you get kids, it's best to get kids when you're married. The whole point is when you're in the same household, y'all have the same mindset. Yeah. Now it's taking me back. I remember now. And I still feel that way. I feel a lot of issues that we have in today's society, especially with trying to co-parent. is because once um once two people get together and they decide, or maybe not decide, but again, you're being an adult, you do adult things, and adult consequences happen. So and from there, you have a child, best case scenario. And one of the things, I preach all the time, I try to tell young men, like, it's great when y'all together. Yeah, it seems like y'all on the same path. Like, the woman is going to follow your lead because in her mind, um, there is an end result to it. And the problem is, us as young men, we're not really understanding that in her mind, it's a clock running. For us, I mean, I'm just having fun. It was cool. You know, I like you, and a situation happened, and this is where we at. Um, and not understanding that at this point now, she's not looking at what's in the best interest for you. She's looking at what's in the best interest for her and maybe her child. Which, when it comes down, as we see, not an opinion, as we have seen in our generation, and when I say our generation, I mean anybody from 38 plus to 50, our generation, where I feel like we dropped the ball because what we tried to do is be totally different from what our parents had. Because we felt at the time there's always this constant battle that our parents was too strict, and they, the way they disciplined was too hard. So it was an extreme there. So we decided when we came in, we wanted to be an extreme. So we're going to be our friends' kids, and we're not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. And I will say this, for some situations, it worked. A lot of situations, it didn't. Um, because the truth of the matter is, I tell people all the time, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to kids, everything with me is it depends. I'm not going to parent you the same way I parent my daughter, or I'm not going to parent my daughter the same way I parent my son, and I'm not going to parent my son the way I parent my other son, because their personalities is different. You understand what I'm saying? And I just think you can't, when it comes to kids, you can't do a one outfit fits all. Because you're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with as we see now, mental stability, things that they were dealing with, don't know what you were dealing with at the time when the child was being created, or at the time when the child is being raised. You understand what I'm saying? So all of those, as we see now today, it factors in. So I'm going to let you listen to the other parts, last part. So too, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I try to pride myself to be, honest and transparent. So, your father has 3 kids, 3 different women. Growing up, how was that? How did you feel about that? And like having, brothers, sisters, like, overall, like, how did you have to adapt with that? What was your feelings?
Oh, shit. I was always older, so it really never made me a true difference, to be honest. It really never made me a difference. I just felt like you ain't know how to wear a condom. But I always felt like you always, he may not act like it, but everybody know I'm his favorite child.
Boy. And so what was the cons in that?
Con?
Yeah, like what was the, it's always a plus, and what was the negative? Like,
I feel like George never really came around that much. Or me and Renai got such a big age gap. They really never really, I feel like it never really affected me.
Okay, I got you. And, at the time, how was it, because it was two different situations that, you kind of engaged. They wasn't biologically your brother or sister, but, through marriage or long relationship, as far as, my first one, when, with Ike and Tyrese. At the time, I was in Did you feel any kind of way about that?
Uh, no, I never did.
You never did.
I
Okay.
never did. I used to enjoy their company. I used to enjoy being having people to play basketball with, talk with.
Okay. Okay. And so also too, he married and ingratiated with April and you know.
April, I feel like April and Kim, they're still like two people that I'm still very close with to this day.
Okay.
Like April, I still look at her like she's my sister.
Okay.
I
Fair.
still type on her every day. We still talk
Okay.
throughout the months. And Kim, we just speak like every other month. We check in. So yeah, I still feel like we still got a very nice bond and stuff.
Okay. All right. That's fair. So yeah, that was. I'm gonna say this. Especially starting off, that was a lot uncomfortable. Because as you see, my son is a lot like me. He has a sense of humor, but I really do appreciate the fact that he answered honestly. Um, and yeah, and these are things that I thought about. You have to think about, especially when you're in a situation or you're in a relationship and you're having a blended family. Um, a lot of times, I tell women all the time, or even young men, if you get into a situation and you're dealing with someone with kids, if you don't look at those kids as your kids, then you don't need to be dealing with them. Um, and and I'm not saying that you need to take on full um, responsibility as far as financial or full responsibility as just you lay the gauntlet down and you're. What I mean is you're coming into a situation with someone who has children, so that means you're in their space. And what you want to do is make it comfortable for everybody. You want the kids to feel included, um, because more the kids feel like it's a safe space, the more you know you have access. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people come in and they said, I tell women all the time, you dating a dude, and he coming in, he's looking at, he's just them her kids. Well, I mean, and ain't nothing wrong with it if a person thinks like that. But what I'm saying to you is, it's definitely a line that says that he doesn't have a long term intention with you because he's not investing. Because you and your kids are one. Um, and the same with him. If you're not taking provisions to be integrated or trying to get to know his kids, it's the same thing. Um, because you want to make him better. Because a better parent he becomes or he tries to be, he's going to be a better man for you. And I just, a lot of, I think back now, being in those situations and thinking back, and me talking to my son, and I can say I genuinely appreciate it because even now, the joke he said, like, I use no condoms. That, again, just in a relationship. But the truth of the matter is, with those conversations me and him had, one of the things I keep saying, like, hey, yo, bro, I ain't ready to be a granddaddy yet. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just not. And it's not that I'm not, because I don't have that right or have that choice, because anything can happen. Because so I don't have any say in that decision or what happens. The truth of the matter is, I want him to live his best life. Um, any man, when he have a son, you want your son or your kids, matter of fact, to be better than you. If you grow up and you raising your kids and you don't want if your kids don't look like they're being better than you, then there's a problem. I absolutely want my son to be way a better man than I ever have been. So if I could guide him or teach him or a lot of things that to help him, to curve him from the directions of things that I went through, absolutely I try to. I get it now because my father did the same thing to me. I was just having a conversation with a family member, my cousin. We were having a conversation about, you know, just having kids early and jumping in and being married. And I kind of explained to him like one of the best advice my dad had ever gave me was, just because you put yourself in a situation and this young lady and she gets pregnant, that doesn't mean that you need to just go ahead and marry her just because because that's not a good situation, because in the long term it's going to end up ending disastrous. Which he was explaining to me, that's what happened to him in his first marriage. He was like, me and your sister's mom, we wasn't really in love. I asked her to marry me out of duty and responsibility. And that should not be that. It should be a covenant between you two, a loving covenant between you, this person, and God. And that's how things should thrive. But yeah, that right there, I start off. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate that, Pippin. um, I started off with that one because that was very, very um, dear to me. That was, I'm going to say one of the ones that made me I was very proud. Um, because as a black man, it's so many things and so many situations we're told that we're not good, or we're failed, or we didn't do this right, or we didn't do that right. You understand what I'm saying? Um, Especially relationships, things that didn't work out. People, women, they're quickly to tell you, oh, you didn't do this and you're a horrible person. And it's a lot of, it says something that, as time go on and consistently you have your child, or what I'm saying, your son or your daughter, and they're able to see through your fruition and just being consistent in their life, where Dad, you didn't do such a bad job. Like, I get it now. I get why this happened, and I get why that happened. Even if I didn't like it, I understand and I respect it. That says a lot, and that I appreciate. Even right now, I'm going through it. Myself, I have a daughter, and later on I'm gonna talk about that. Where I think he was on Club Shay, um, the comedian, and he made a comment of saying how he got to a point where it just seems like his between him and his daughter has become their relationship has become transactional. And I saw some women purposely wanted to misread or misunderstand what he said, and went on a rant, as they normally do. And it was like, this is part of the problem on social media. You want men to be able to say their feelings and tell you their truth. But once they do that, you ridicule them because it's not how you perceive it to be, or it's not within the way you would want it to be, and not just understanding and allow him to be in a safe space to say, look, this is how I feel, because this is my truth. This is what's going on. Whether or not it's my fault or not my fault, this is where I am right now. How can I get out of that? Instead of ridiculing him, maybe give some kind words. It takes absolutely nothing to be nice. It's free. I try that mantra every day now, because again, as you know, we go through all kind of mental health things and we don't know. So that was the first one I did as a throwback. I'm gonna go to my next one. One of the ones I go, and we're gonna go from there.
Yes, but the sex just wasn't quite there, that I knew wouldn't keep me from cheating. I don't want to go into a relationship.
So no, you dated, of course, all through, same as me. Why have you ever been in a serious monogamous relationship?
That is a good question, Mr. HB. I take relationships very seriously. Um, Probably more seriously than some people, which is why I don't generally just get into them just for the sake of saying I got a girlfriend, or same thing with kids. I don't just say I'm gonna have a kid to keep on my legacy just to do that, or case may be. So to be quite honest, which I consider myself to be pretty much an honest person, I've had more situationships than actual official committed relationships. I probably shouldn't give away a whole lot of these man laws or what the case may be, but since we're being honest, then that's what I'm gonna do. A lot of times when we meet women, we'll put them in a category and we'll let them go to whatever category that they kind of fall in, whether it's you're just going to be a platonic friend, whether you're going to be a sexual friend, whether you're going to be relationship material with the potential to get into a committed relationship, or you're going to be dating status, potential to be a girlfriend with the potential to be a wife. As we get to know you and time goes on, certain things that women may say or do, we monitor all that and we will place them in certain categories. We don't always tell them what category they're in, what category they were in, and then they fell to. A lot of times it's to protect their feelings. If you're not just a savage out here, which I'm not, certain things I may say that may be the truth is going to hurt somebody's feelings, and I try not to do that. But sometimes you have to give them the ugly truth versus a beautiful lie. So that's pretty much how it's been for me.
Okay, here we go again. So that one there was the counter of from what I deem women want to be looking for a high value man. That was one of my good friends, Gilbert. He's 48, same age as me, 48, 49. But has no kids, own homes, cars. He's he has a great career, and he's single. Now, the whole purpose of this was instead of me giving my opinion and saying, because a lot of times men come on here and they say, hey, women need to do this, men need to do that. And women come back with, well, in order for him to tell me, you can't tell me nothing because you got these kids and you make this much money and you don't do this and you don't do this. So I decided to get someone, I deem number one, manly, not like a beta male. Also to have his ish together, and like I said, no kids, no mental health issues, just from his lens, why he hasn't settled down and why he's not married, and what it looks like to him now when he's looking for a partner, or maybe not. Now he ain't even looking for no partner. You understand what I'm saying? Because again, I used to try to tell women all the time, what you're asking of in your viewpoint, what you deserve, are you able to keep? Are you able to contend? Because it's again, you get in the door with your looks. You get in the door with your looks. But you stay in the building with who you are on a consistent basis, based off your femininity, your integrity, and and just being able to provide a safe space for him. You know, the funny thing, out of all the three things, I never said anything about, we don't care about your degrees. We don't care about how much money you make. We don't care about your businesses and who want to talk to you. All that's superficial. And even though I started and stated with looks get you in the door, which is superficial, but keeps you in the building. What keeps you in the building is your femininity. Again, you providing a safe space for him. And just knowing how to maneuver and learning to learn your man. We don't care about that other stuff. Less is more. And I don't mean in dress. I mean, I see a lot of people, a lot of women, they come on, you know, social media, and they always have to say their opinion and say how they feel about stuff. He just said the difference, the problem is women get on social media and they constantly say what a man needs to have or what he doesn't have or what he's lacking of or what's wrong with him. If women really heard what men really thought about y'all, a lot of y'all commit suicide. But that's not what men do. You just said we don't like being the bad guys. Even though long term we end up being the bad guys, we don't like being the bad guys. So what we do is once you present the person that you are, we don't argue. We just put you in a place. We just put you in a place, and that's where you are. And we just move accordingly. In your mind, a lot of times, a lot of these women have the delusional mindset of, oh, he's going to do this, or he's going to see this. He's not going to, he don't see my work. It's kind of like you're going for a job and they're telling you what the job description is, but you going besides each bulletin of the job description and you're telling them, well, I do this and I do this and I have this. And it's like you're trying to rewrite the job description for the employer in which the person that he's trying to hire you for the position. And you basically say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but no, I got this. And this is better than that. Well, then if that's the case, then you get your own career, get your own business. You understand what I'm saying? Men ain't out here tripping on you saying, what you do it, you need to do this, you need to do that. A man is going to tell you 1 or 2 times what he wants from you. 1 or 2 times. And then after that, he ain't going to say nothing. He just going to move accordingly. Now, you're going to be thinking like, oh, he understand. He know I ain't with that. No, he just going to find somebody else that is, or he's going to tolerate you until it becomes an inconvenience to him. And that's putting y'all up on game. Just hear the next segment of what he says right here.
Yes, but the sex just wasn't quite there that I knew wouldn't keep me from cheating. I don't want to go into a relationship already not satisfied enough. Because I don't think humans can ever really be satisfied or whatever. We're always looking for the next best thing. But I don't want to. And certainly if I get married, I don't want to cheat. So if things on level 1 are not good enough or whatever, you can't just go to level 2 thinking that it'll fix itself, or you shouldn't. I won't say what you shouldn't do that or what this may be. Chemistry, getting along. I consider myself, I ain't gonna say what I am. I'll let people decide, whoever I'm dating or they'll decide, right, how I am. I consider myself to be very easygoing, laid back, understanding, all those type of things, whatever, which is why most of the time when I'm having a discussion or it's a decision to be made about going to a restaurant, going to a party, going over here or whatever, I generally ask a woman, what do you suggest? Because I'm not a controlling type person. I do want somebody with an opinion. I do want to make an informed decision about whatever we are going to do. So I asked, mate, what do you suggest? Since I'm so laid back and fluid, most of the time, whatever they suggest, I'm okay with. Wherever we want to go eat at, I generally can find something to eat off that menu, or we'll figure something out. I'm generally okay with that. Or so those are my 3 things that matter to me is, being compatible, the sex, and attractiveness for me. If those things are not in line, that keeps me in situationships, unfortunately.
Okay. There it is. Again, another proven point. From my boy. He was, dropping gems. Even back then, and it still applies. Ladies, again, I'm not gonna say it's gonna stop him, but however you got him, that's how you're gonna have to keep him. Your man, he wants you to be a lady, but he wants you to be a whore. Literally, you have to be his whore. Like, he want you to be like nasty. Like, again, a lot of times women, they get upset and he's going out and he's doing this, and why you doing this, and you got to be going out all the time, and blah blah blah. Because again, part of it is the thrill of the hunt. Part of it is shit. He bored. And he won't, like, again, we as men, once we get into that place of just being in a relationship or marriage, you become you just get in that everyday rigmarole, and and after a while, I use the term kind of like if you watch a lion, right? And a lion being a lion, after when he first hit a young lion, he was with the pride. He just you see him hunting. He's looking for food, and he's roaring, and he's seeing. When he walk in, all the animals scatter. It's that feel. It's that feel alive, like you feel like you have a purpose. And all of a sudden it's. He gets his get the lioness, and lions have kids, and and now he's just sitting around and he's just looking, and it get to a point where all the fools start walking around him, and he's kind of like almost forget, like, damn, I'm a lion. Like, and it seems like the lioness, she's like, here, get these kids, and he be forgetting, like, girl, you forgot who I am, like. Some symbol, and I think for men like him, it's that scares him. Me and him personally, we talk like that. It scares him because it's like, I don't want to get put into a situation where, damn, I don't want to feel like, damn, I'm with this person. I again decide to come in, lock in, provide, protect. And I get up and get some hunkuchi. You know what I mean? That, like, for a man of that caliber, that is like the most insulting thing that you can get. Again, I go back to situations I hear women say, oh, he always leaving, he always going out. You have all the power. Women have all the power. You don't understand. When you first get a man, he's going to treat you how he feels that you should be treated. So he's going to do all the stops. He's going to show you that you're worthy. After a while, he's going to start treating you how he feels that you're treating him. So when the, hey baby, the kisses and all that other stuff kind of stop, you got to kind of look in the mirror and say, well, damn, why is all this happening? Why is he acting like this? Well, he's acting like this because it's the little things, the small things that you forgot or you stopped doing. Because the truth of the matter is, we all have lives. all work. You had work before, you had kids before. There was nothing different. The difference is you became stagnant and you settled. So now you got him, and now he's not a priority no more. So you say things like, "Oh, this person's priority," or "I got to do this going on." You had all that before. You understand what I'm saying? You had all that before, and it wasn't no problem. So to us, we're logical thinkers. So it always comes across as you're bamboozling or you're tricking us, and that within that becomes hostility or we start looking different. So that's why men on the other outside is like, yeah, I don't want no part of that. Because we done seen this movie plenty of times. And because men, we find that person, you're thinking, okay, that's not gonna happen to me. Because you give in to a certain extent. That's how we submit, ladies. That's how we submit. It's a different form of submission for us. I'm gonna let you listen to the next part. Okay, so just to recap for the people in the back. Because I agree with that. A lot of times I used to tell women, look at it like watching college football. I tell women all the time, like, watch sports. It's like college football. And the thing is, women are not. They don't want to be honest enough to say to us the same thing, because the way we look at it, kind of like being in the tier. You know how we were when it was like, okay, Florida State is out. They ain't got no quarterback. And from whatever bowl you can drop. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, from your conversation, depending on what, and also too, situations. What a lot of women don't understand, a lot of women talk themselves out of relationships. Or they talk themselves out of situations because of their thought process. It's okay to have an opinion, but the problem is, the way we look at things. I tell women all the time, we're very simple. So certain things that we look at, even when they're talking about their friend, and it's kind of like, oh, you okay with that? Like, well, yeah, I don't see, because she did. That's pretty much, from that point of view. So again, you've been through that, but yeah, pretty much like what I was saying before. And that was, again, my take to the response that he was saying. We pay attention to way more than what y'all think we do. And that's the reason why men take marriage way more important, way more serious than women do. I know some women are gonna come and say, no, that's not true. No, yeah. And that's why God put us in the place for us to ask you. Because for women, I'm gonna be honest with you, it seems like a lot of women like the wedding. They like the things, everything that comes along with it, but they don't like the marriage, because there's a difference. There's a difference between the engagement, there's a difference between the wedding, and then you actually settle down, and then the marriage, because the marriage is where the work comes in at. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of men, we don't mind. They don't mind doing it. But again, as we see statistically, what benefits you of being married when we end up being in the losing end? Because statistically, it shows that women divorce men at a higher rate than men divorce women. So again, how do we get to a point where we bridge that gap? What is it that we can do to make it physically and mentally and emotionally make sense for this next generation to do? Because from what I've seen, a lot of these young men, and by rightful, they like, I'm not. Like, if I want a kid, I have a kid with you. Heck, even these sports players, what they do is, heck, they pay the price. Like, okay, you got a baby, let me take, I just want my offspring, I'll pay you whatever. That's how unimportant it is, where I think where in the Black community we get the misconstrued, where baby mamas feel like they way more important, in the situation than the actual wife. And that's where it became very sad at, because they come with, I'm carrying your child, and they feel like because you carry my child, you have more rights and more authority and more access to me than the actual person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And that comes back to a conversation that I was having where even in the Black community, not understanding when it comes to marriage, your husband and your wife, they come first. Kids come second. The problem is we and not trying to, diminish or talk down, but we have this this baby baba image thing where they feel where I have a kid and your kid should be way more important than any bee. And that will be acceptable until you get married. You understand what I'm saying? And at that point, nobody comes between you and your spouse. Because again, like I say, ladies, you have all the power. If you're the one that is being submissive and you're helping and directing him in a direction where he feels confident at, he's gonna make sure his kid's straight, gonna make sure your kid's straight, which is gonna make sure you're straight, and everything else is gonna go in the direction it needs to go in. The problem is we deal with so many people who are self-centered, very selfish, and in their mindset of me, and F everybody else. And then we deal with them, it breaks down. I guess I got one more. What has prevented you from saying, okay, you are a potential, or I don't know, maybe you have. Have you ever had a potential where my girlfriend thinking about my wife?
Again,
no names, but just
I've had, more situationships with women, I was dating or what case may be. And there's a few things. Now, I'm sometimes different than certain men. While we're speaking on this platform,
right, I'm
going to speak about myself, and then I'll speak about the different generalities that most men think of. Because again, I'm different or whatever. I do have some shallow ways, and that's just me being honest. For me, looks is probably near the top of my list. Speaking with people in the break room or at a brunch or wherever there's co-eds or whatever.
I'm sorry, I have one more after this, but yeah. So basically, he's expressing what I already talked about being able to get you in the door. How you keep yourself up and you do all this. And again, ladies, you guys do a great job in the beginning of doing all of that. I don't know where somehow the breakdown go down, because it's one or two things. I use this joke. A woman looks her best in the beginning stage of trying to pursue a man, and then she looks her best again at the end stage when she's on her way out. That's crazy. That right there is really crazy to me. I'm gonna go ahead and do the last one for this one here.
I've been told, oh, you shouldn't be this way, or this is what's more important, and blah, 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 blah. But what's important to somebody else may not be important to me or whatever. My peace and my happiness is of the utmost importance, what case be. So if a woman meets my standard of attractiveness or whatever, that checks off that box. Sex for me is second on what's important to me as far as a potential mate. When you're talking about a mate, every person that you meet that you decide to date could be your next girlfriend or boyfriend, or could be your wife or whatever. So the entire time for me, it's an interview and it's evaluation. of, is this somebody that I could see myself being with for the rest of my life? Again, someone I've had that did meet the criteria of attractiveness, but the sex just wasn't quite there, that I knew wouldn't keep me from cheating. I don't want to go.
Yeah. Again, this is, ladies, where you want a high value man, and this is his perspective. A lot of y'all women, for y'all want to dress up, want to be Barbie dolls, but you don't want to do the do, or you do the do, you want to half ass. Like, listen, that one guy might have 10, 12 women who wants to be that person for him. And a lot of y'all think I'll just walk in the building because you're cute. And, I'm cute, I smell good and look good, and it's cool until we actually do it. Then after we get that what I call that post nut, then it's just like, okay, it was cool. Like, you're cool. In her mind, she think, oh yeah, I put it on. No, baby, again, you have to go into this situation, and again, I'm gonna preface my statement for the sisters. If you really want that, and that's what you manifest, and you want that type of man, and you feel that that's what you desire. Again, it shouldn't be work, but if that's what you desire and that's not you, yeah, you got to put in the work. And I ain't just talking about sex. I mean, again, you have to learn him. So one of the things he said, I want a woman, I want arm candy. So again, make sure you're on point. Number two, you have to be able to have an intellectual conversation with him on a consistent basis. You have to be able to talk to him, see what's going on, how his day is. You understand what I'm saying? Because he's not. Again, he gave you the answer to the test. He's not hard. He's not agreeable. He likes to have banter. He's not argumentative, but he likes to see what makes you tick. He doesn't mind going out. He's easy going. So again, if we go out, tell me where you want to go. I'm cool. We can go there. He's not arguing about how much it is. He's not arguing about anything. But again, somehow, some way, there's a woman out there that's going to find something that's not suitable for her. And again, that's cool. But this is where we at in today's society. You understand what I'm saying? Even now. And that was, I think, like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. That I had, and it's nothing has changed. Nothing has changed at all. And I just think that, moving forward, having these uncomfortable conversations, you want to know. I also would appreciate if anybody watching or want to just tell me what topics that you would like to have. And heck, if I ain't thought about it, I want to have it. I want to have dialogue, things that's worthy of conversation. We're dealing in today's times of foolishness every day foolishness, gossip, people business. Get enough of that. Want to have real meaningful conversation that brings thought provoking conversation, and in which the thought provoking conversation alludes to somehow some change. Because you can talk all day, but if you're not willing to change behaviors, it means absolutely nothing. And that's what I want to say to that. Now, one more, it's a treat for me. It's a taboo subject that people have, and it's one of the things I talk about is the lifestyle. Lifestyle consists of non-monogamy. This is a non-monogamy topic. So it deals with swingers, um, um, threesomes, polyamory, um, within that umbrella. Um, and I got a chance to talk. We got a chance to talk to some really good friends of mine. I consider them family, and they were open enough to sit here and have a conversation and explain their dynamic. And here's a brief discussion with that.
Know each other's views, but we don't discuss them.
I just want to close on that question by saying, for vanilla people, I think more or less when it comes down to it, a lot of people judge because your sin is different from my sin.
Right.
Blah.
Yep.
So next question. Ray Wayne, what's good, Batman? How does John deal with both of you men and women when you're both feeling some type of way at the same time? So hold on, Pimpin. I need you to clarify that. When you say some type
I was
of way,
going to ask the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
What you mean?
that could go either way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because if it's going on in the other way, that it's a win for Pimpin. You know what I'm saying? But if it's, I think they kind of answer that a little bit. When it comes down to it, both of them sometimes they will feel, you know what I'm saying, way, and they said they know how to read the room, and London said sometimes she just remove herself, or things of that nature.
I mean, it's something that we had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen overnight. I mean, and if he's asking sexually, there may be times, because most people think we always have sex together. We don't.
It's too much work.
That's yes.
And you know what? That's the funny thing. It's like sometimes, like people you get caught up in. You be thinking like, oh, it's butterflies and we doing this and everything. Sometimes you might. What you do? You kind of scoot over and
slide out.
Real quick.
No.
Hey, John, what you do sometimes, like in one try, and
people, if they're getting into polyamory about sex, they're in it for the wrong reason.
Wrong
You can have sex and don't be polyamorous.
Right.
That part.
You don't have to be poly. That's something different.
Totally
That's
agree with that.
with communication with the relationship. So if you're going into polyamory about sex, you're in for a rude awakening.
So, before I go into that, Chelsea Tompkins, you need to talk about how most men want to be in a dominant / submissive relationship when they aren't really dominant, but more solely only have dominant tendencies. Great topic. I promise you, I will come back to that. So that if people didn't understand what she's talking about, so she's talking about in the realm of BDSM. BDSM is another form of the lifestyle, which is a tree branch from there. I have also been into that. I've been considered a dominant, and that which is where you become in a situation where you're responsible for an individual, which is females, which is a submissive. There are different types of submissive. I'll go into that later because I will bring on a dominant and a submissive and get in the culture of the realm of BDSM. But to briefly discuss what you just said, Chelsea, hey bestie. To briefly just discuss that is a lot of times in that situation, I'm going to say this from my experience. I don't think it's that they have dominant tendencies. I think more or less they're being an actor. And that's kind of the problem that we have in the lifestyle. People are acting. So they're trying to be a person of what they think that you want. Because I use this word all the time, and I stand on it. It got to be in it. It got to be in you, not on you. and I say that confidently. You see how that switched up. It when it comes to me with certain situations, it's in me, not on me. Meaning this is me 365 days a year, 24/7. When I step up and yeah. But let me get back to going back to what we were talking about. I appreciate them coming in because those conversations. So the conversation that brief statement that had between John and Erica and the wife, what they were just having was, I was being silly because I know regular, and I'm gonna use the word vanilla. Regular people want to know the things like, is it like popping like all the time? And yeah, no, it don't be like that. Polyamory is supposed to be in a situation where because I've heard somebody talk and they was like, oh, some men get into it and they don't have the money to do that, and that's not what it is. It's supposed to be you all contribute, whether it's money, resources, just all it's all an equal set of things, but you are able to love each person equally, honestly. And as we know, just dealing with one or two people is hard. So, first and foremost, I tell everybody it ain't for everybody. And it ain't for you, cool. This wasn't a segment that I'm trying to sell, or even they trying to sell. I tell people all the time, tell women all the time, I had a friend of mine come to me and she's like, I want to, for my man's birthday, I want to give him a threesome. This is one of the stories I give. And, how can I make this happen? I said, well, first question I have to ask, do you like women? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you like women? I mean, they're okay. No. Well, if you don't like women and you don't like women, one, and two, you're not going to get off, or you fantasize or fetish watch your man being with another person, don't have a threesome. Keep it in the box. At first she was like, well, why? I feel like he deserves. No. It's not what he deserves. Because again, men are simple. We're simple. Again, one of the things my mom, God bless her dead, she says all the time, however you start with a man or whatever you do, you're going to have to continue to keep on. We don't look at it for you. You looking at it as, you know what, I'm just doing this for my man. He going to be, no. Listen, if I said I like lobster and steak, I don't want lobster and steak every day, but best freaking believe I want lobster and steak at least once or twice a month. And I want it cooked with a smile. Preferably with an apron, with nothing up under it. Don't be saying, oh, I got that for you for one time and you should have been having. It don't work like that. So if that's not what you're into, don't do it. Stay away from that. Leave that to us freaky people. You understand what I'm saying? Allow that to pass. And there's other things you can do in the bedroom. Role play. Go to a strip club, you and him, let him get lap dances, go home, hunch his brains out. There's so many ideas I can give you, but don't start something that you're not going to want to continue to uphold. Real talk. Go to the next one with them. Question: How would he feel if y'all asked him to step back and allow another house guest, another man to visit? Good question. Go ahead.
Talking about as far as visit to our home?
Yeah.
As far as like have sex or something? No.
We don't do that. We have kids in here. So
kids, grandkids. I mean, right when the podcast started.
Maybe I think they're asking like, okay, say if one of you was interested in wanting to see another guy. Yeah. How does that work?
there would be a discussion. And I mean, me personally, unless we would have to be at a certain level, like I know for sure that would be somebody that I want to bring around, them, my family, because we have a big family and we always have someone here. There's always kids walking in, out, grandkids. So it's always, so it,
our house
they
is a
would
revolving
have to,
door.
yeah, they would have to be someone that's going to be, I don't want to say a permanent fixture, but it would have to be serious enough where, okay, well, I will introduce you to my world, but more than likely that probably wouldn't happen.
Again, as we see, I'm going into the maturation process of their dynamic. And as you see, their triad is not a closed door triad. It means that they are open to being able to see other people, even the ladies. But as you see, going back to what Chelsea was saying, because he is also too, he's a dominant. So again, I asked that question because I wanted them to understand that it wouldn't happen, because as a dominant, that means I'm surrendering, allowing another man in my space to be able to be on the same page as me. You have to understand, even in that, especially in that aspect, people, they're very realistic. Like, everything is not, it's not fair. We all have, what's the word? And I think that's the problem in the world that we live in today. They're not honest about double standards. Everybody, we have double standards. So no, it's not fair. Like, no, you can't be bringing dudes in here like I have these chicks. It ain't fair. But it's not meant to be. It works for them. For them, he's enough for them. And if they decide to mess with a dude, one of them, cool. They let him take you out, whatever, or besides the hat, or be in a situation where it can happen. But for the most part, it's us. This is what we have together. It's a bond. It's our thing. Again, it works for them. It won't work for everybody. I've been in situations where I had like girlfriend. That's a lot. I'm be honest with you. As arrogant as I was, if I think back, it's a lot, because you're dealing with personalities. You're dealing with personalities on a daily basis. You're dealing with personalities where, at the end of the day, somebody is going to be missing out. Somebody's going to feel like you're not giving them the affection that they need. You understand what I'm saying? And if you're not mentally there, and also too, again, mentally, financially, you're spending money, you hanging out, you're doing things. On the outside, people looking at, oh man, you doing your thing. But on the inside, you got to figure out how you going to, again, you're going to do this, you're going to hang out, when you go home, who you're going to sleep with, when you sleep with, you got to go back to bed with this person. It's a lot. This is why kitchen table poly isn't for most. Ethically, non-monogamy allows you the freedom to date and have a person or even explore your king. I absolutely agree with that. 100% agree with that. But again, you have to be in a place or dealing with somebody who's mentally and emotionally mature enough to understand that break the thing of the ice of unrealistic of, you are my everything. I can do everything for you. That's what messed up everybody, because we got into this thing, like, again, as a young girl, like, hey, I say this all the time. The double standard is, when you have a son, the first thing you say, oh my God, he's so cute, he's so handsome, boy, we're gonna have to keep all these good girls on phone. You know what you're inculcating in his brain right then and there, and everybody around him, that it's okay for him to be with more than one girl. The first thing, you have a daughter, you tell her, like, oh my God, my daughter, my niece, my little cousin, you're so pretty. Girl, I want you to be a doctor, lawyer, and I want you to get married, and I want you to be successful. You're telling her right then and there that she has to be with one person, and on top of her being one person, I need you to be successful to show your worth as a woman. Now, what happens is it doesn't come across fair because the whole time Jimmy get to hear he bowling, having fun, doing his thing, and he come across you and he see that you worthy or whatever, and he like you, but say everything cool until because he's not mentally, emotionally mature enough to understand that once he busts that nut, like his DNA is implanted in you, and so now you're looking at him like you're my person. Not understanding, like, I don't even know what you like. I don't know what you dislike. I don't even know what your triggers are. I don't even know if you have a trigger. I don't even know what your mama raised you or was raised with your mom? Was you raised with both of your parents? How was that like? Was it contentious? Did your mom and dad have a loving relationship? Or was your dad there half the time? Was your dad not? Like, these is so many things why it's so important for I preface my statement by saying that it's important for our kids to date, to get to know different people, personalities, because one of the things that I knew was I learned, like, I didn't know what I wanted in a woman, but dating, I realized what I didn't want. I realized that I didn't want. I got to a point where one of the things that was very toxic, and I was toxic, like I felt like I needed a woman who was very passionate. I love that passion. Like, so when I did something, I needed you to, if you ain't act the ass or act like you about to kill me, you about to cut up my clothes, you ain't love me. I need to see how far will you go for me, but then at the same time, I don't need you to go too far because that's going to impede on my progress of what I needed to do. So that's where the toxicity came in. And I had to understand that I couldn't deal with that type of woman because that type of woman would put me in a place, because that type of woman, the more she felt disrespected, is the more she was going to do things to show that, nigga, you going to respect me. So you're going to yell, you're going to scream, you're going to cuss, you're going to say things, you're going to do. And I put certain women in positions that they didn't need to be because I didn't allow a safe space for them, because I didn't know what I wanted in a woman or felt that I needed to feel that she was enough. And that's just at the time, me growing through my maturation process of knowing and understanding who I am as a man now. Then I got another one.
How do y'all make it for the kids? Like, when y'all first started, like, again, because I know people have questions, like kids being around, mama, shut the door, like, y'all didn't have that discussion, or it just kind of because again, kids adapt. So how did that work?
So we were dating pretty much 2 years before I actually started coming to the house and started dealing with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we just told them. I mean, right. People think that there's if you just tell kids, whatever, most of our kids are grown. Mm-hmm. So okay. I was more frightened to tell my two oldest daughters that I was bi before telling them I was, poly and things right. like that. And so when I told them I was bi, they was like, okay.
Right.
And
carpet muncher.
Yeah, right. The kids love you unconditionally.
Right.
The youngest one was at an age where she was like, okay, because she knew the two of us were dating or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then when he saw it coming up, she was like, so that's Miss Erica's boyfriend. Is that your boyfriend too? But I mean, it's natural. The kids come. We've never had to sit down and explain to anyone. We just, hey, this is. I'm Gigi to the grandkids. She's Nana, so everyone just get along. I mean, you can see. I mean, we vacation together. We do everything together. We're always cooking on Sundays and stuff. So It's just natural. It's nothing odd about it. I think they'd probably think it was odd if it was just
us,
a vanilla couple now.
So like with me,
that's a good question.
So like with me, my kids are the ones that are not really here.
Okay.
My youngest is the one that's here the most. But like when I started dating Erica, it was a while before she even met him. Mm-hmm. And then when she did meet him, he wasn't having
He
it.
was not having it.
Oh,
Like he wasn't having it.
No. He was used to his mom and dad always being together, so he was not having it.
And that don't have nothing to do with
just me and daddy time.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either that or it was just me and daddy time. So when he was with daddy, it was just him.
Again, as you see, they, I appreciate them really just being vulnerable and being able to share their experience with me and the audience. You can't get no realer than that. So again, a lot of times they cover the again, because it wasn't a secret. They integrated, the family, the kids, and everybody into it. They explained the process. They also was vulnerable and honest enough to say, like, it ain't all peaches and cream. And it's work, just like any other relationship, it's work. They still together to this day. Again, have ups and downs, but they make it work. And again, like I said, we as people, the point of you understanding other people's, the way they live, the way their mindset is, I think it makes it more tolerated. Not only tolerated, but have more of acceptance. And you're able to maneuver. I think a lot of times in the times that we live in today, we get to a point where a lot of things that makes us uncomfortable, we get very defensive and we deem it as a problem. As we see some things though go all the way left. I'm gonna say I'm an advocate for everybody living their best life the way they should, within the boundaries of respecting everybody. Without trying to impose your will or your thoughts or your beliefs on people, as long as you leave room for people to do their thing, because again, we all have this this fake moralness about us, or like I say in the church, we judge people because their sin is different from our sin. And at the end of the day, when the end comes, we all have to be judged for whatever we have. And for me, that's for them. As long as you're not doing anything illegal or you're not hurting anybody, hey, go for you. And again, for me, those three episodes was something that I'm very proud of. Kind of stepped out on the limb. Even myself was being vulnerable. So I want to get back to that. You guys are gonna see. It's gonna be more comfortable conversations that's gonna be had. I appreciate the ones that's watching. I hope later on people come in. I know it's kind of late. I just, getting back in the swing of things, people start watching and they see, and again, give me your feedback. Also, just like Chelsea did, I want to know what topics that you would like for me to cover, to talk about, or if anybody want to come on and just have a discussion about certain things, especially in our community, or what's going on in this day of time. I would love to do that. Next week I'm going back. We're going to get back to, because I'm going to do 1 week on with mine, and then another week on me and Dietrich. We're going to go back to our podcast from our perspective. Sheila might come in sometimes, may not. Sheila's going through her her own spiritual journey. And, I support that, she's like a sister, and, appreciate and much love the time that she did spend on, the other shows. It was much needed, a breath of fresh air from a woman's point of view. And again, still gonna come in, check in, and check out with us. But again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, checking me out. I'm trying to dust the rust off. But look forward to seeing you guys and to hearing your thought process and giving your comments. And thank you for tuning in to Uncomfortable In-House Conversation with HB. Peace out.
Andy J on the beat.